October 5th, and this is The View with Catherine Chang. Today's topics are Trump's testing positive for COVID-19 and the cross-strait relations, and murder suspect Chen Tongjia to face trial in Taiwan. First, I want to talk about Trump's testing positive for COVID-19 and the cross-strait relations. Will Trump's testing positive have any impact between the cross-strait relations? I don't think so. Why? Here are some points. A. Former Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Nicholas Burns warned that China might take the opportunity to strengthen its suppressing of Taiwan, but I don't think that China will take further military action toward Taiwan now, because China does not want to, and it does not dare to, arouse anti-China sentiment in the U.S. Imagine that. Trump has repeatedly criticized the so-called Chinese virus, and there are more than 210,000 deaths in the U.S. Even U.S. President and his wife were confirmed positive. Don't you think this will arouse the anger among the Americans toward China? B. Why did China President Xi Jinping send greeting message to Trump 24 hours after he's confirmed of COVID-19? Like I said earlier, COVID-19 started in Wuhan. Xi Jinping really doesn't know what to say. It's kind of awkward. Perhaps after a day of scenario planning, then Xi Jinping decided to send a get well message to Trump in order to show his friendly gesture. But it seems useless because the United States still issued a sanction on SMIC, Zhongxin Guoji, on October 4th. I think the relationship between China and the U.S. will get worse after Trump tested positive. Why? As Republican Representative Mark Walker criticized that, does this represent China's former intervention in our election? You can feel the anger from the Republicans. C. Will the situation of the Chinese fighters intruding Taiwan ADIZ change? No. The Chinese fighters still intrude Taiwan's southwest airspace on Saturday and Sunday. They also intruded the southwest airspace twice. We're talking about that, and I think the Chinese fighters' intrusion of the Taiwan airspace will continue. However, I don't think they will cross the center line of Taiwan Strait. The last time the Chinese fighters crossed the center line was on September 18th and 19th when the U.S. Undersecretary Keith Craig visited Taiwan. It was already 15 days ago. D. Trump's kind of diagnosis of COVID-19 brought out a conspiracy theory. There's a spying and then talking about that. Trump deliberately got infected in order not to participate in the 15th and 22nd debates. But I don't think Trump got the COVID-19 purposely. After all, for a 74-year-old man, COVID-19 might be fatal. For the latest information today, the White House physician said that Trump might leave the hospital on October 5th. So I don't think there will be any postponement of the U.S. presidential election. But maybe he can join the second debate on the 15th. Or otherwise, they'll do it online. Second issue I want to talk about, murder suspect Chen Tongjia to face trial in Taiwan. Chen Tongjia killed his girlfriend in February 2018, then stuffed her into a suitcase. This is the so-called Hong Kong suitcase murder incident, 港女相尸案. As a result, the murderer has triggered the Hong Kongers to protest against the extradition bill, 送中条款. Why? A. Because the Hong Kong government tried to introduce an extradition bill that will allow criminals in Hong Kong to be extradited to China, Taiwan, or Macau. But it triggered a massive opposition because Hong Kong people fear that they could be extradited to China without due case. B. Chen Tongjia said in October 2019 that he will come to Taiwan to face a trial. However, that did not happen. Is it really coming this year? I'm suspicious about it. Taiwanese Premier Su Zhenchang criticizing the Hong Kong government today and said that Chen Tongjia is a murderer and he's not allowed to travel around Taiwan freely. This is an issue that involves Taiwan's judicial sovereignty and Taiwan's national status. One of the possibilities is that Chen Tongjia can be transferred by the Hong Kong airplane. Well, that is very complicated. So I think it is hard for Chen Tongjia to come to Taiwan for trial. Here are the top stories. Today we have one confirmed case, and it is an imported case. A female in her 30s returned from the Philippines. Let's look at the latest development of U.S. President Donald Trump's health. 4 days after Donald Trump was tested positive for COVID-19, that's Friday, he temporarily leaves hospital in a motorcade to greet supporters. Well, we're talking about that. That's around Taipei time, around 6 a.m. this morning. According to the British media, the Daily Mail said that the president was in an SUV. He waved to them from inside car and was wearing a face mask. Donald Trump on Sunday made a surprise visit to his supporters outside Walter Reed Medical Center, briefly leave his hospital room to thank the supporters despite being infected with the coronavirus. Also, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson believes Trump will make it through the COVID-19 battle. He had an interview with the BBC yesterday, and he said, well, I've no doubt that he will make a very strong recovery. I think that he will be doing exactly what the doctors tell him to do, and he will be having the best care he could possibly get. Additionally, Trump could be released from hospital on Monday. According to the Wall Street Journal, White House physician Sean Conley said that the president could be sent back to White House as soon as Monday. Well, Mr. Trump's condition, he said, continues to improve. As to the latest poll, Trump is doing better, just like his recovery from COVID-19. The think tank Democracy Institute conducted the latest poll with the UK media Sunday Express on U.S. election poll, and it said that Trump beating Biden despite being hospitalized with COVID-19. According to the poll, 68% said the illness would not affect their vote, while 19% said they would more likely to support Trump. And Trump's leading the key swing states, including Florida, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, remains at 4%, by 47% to 43%. On the other hand, talking about the quadrilateral, we're talking about the security dialogue that will be held on October 6th in Tokyo. The South Morning China Post published an article yesterday with the title, Mike Pompeo keeps up pressure on China despite cutting short Asia trip after Donald Trump's coronavirus positive. And it said that the State Department confirmed he will still visit Tokyo on October 4th, where he will meet counterparts from Australia, India, and Japan for security talks between a strategic Quad grouping, seen as a response to growing Chinese power. The U.S. is really taking action to sanction SMIC, 中芯国际. SMIC says the U.S. is placing export restrictions on suppliers. According to Bloomberg, SMIC said that on Sunday night that the U.S. Bureau of Industry and Security has informed some of the SMIC suppliers to further limit export of U.S. equipment. Well, we're talking about that. The exports will require a permit. SMIC also said that we had preliminary exchanges with the BIS in relation to the export restrictions and will continue to communicate with the relevant U.S. government departments. SMIC also, we're talking about that, it dropped as much as 5% of the shares in Hong Kong on Monday, while the Taiwan semiconductor company UMC, 联华电子, gained more than 1%. Talking about Chinese intrusion, talking about Chinese fighters kept intruding Taiwan's ADIZ during the Moon Festival weekend. According to Taiwan Ministry of National Defense, the Chinese Y-8 anti-submarine aircraft have intruded Taiwan's southwest airspace for 3 consecutive days. And in addition to dispatching fighters jet to respond to it, the Air Force also broadcast radio warnings and deploy anti-aircraft missile system to track the Chinese fighters. Well, in the end, something to bring up is that it's kind of interesting that Jim Carrey played the role of Joe Biden and Alec Baldwin played the role of Donald Trump. Well, we can talk about that. This is Alec Baldwin with Trump, and this is Jim Carrey with Biden. We're talking about that. I think it's kind of interesting because it is a symbol of freedom of speech, and some Chinese netizens also said that they hope one day they can do something like that in China. But of course, as a TV show, Saturday Night Live said in the opening that, I think it is very fun to watch as long as you don't live in America. Well, what I think is that Americans feel depressed about what happened in the first presidential debate. Well, I think both Jim Carrey and Alec Baldwin did a good job. This is The View with Catherine Chang, and I hope you have a nice Monday. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.